Welcome back to Twin Football and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Today's video, we're going to give you our picks and predictions for the three-game NFL slate. So thank you very much for joining us. Let's go ahead and dive right in. We start the day off with the Bears traveling to Detroit to take on the 10-1 Detroit Lions in a rematch of the first ever Thanksgiving Day game back in 1934 when the defending NFL champs Chicago Bears took on the Lions and got the win that day. The Lions are going to be looking to snap a 7-game losing streak at home on Thanksgiving Day, but this team is built to do it. Haven't lost since September. Only 12 points allowed over their last 2 weeks. Blowouts in both of those. One of the best offensive lines in football. But in order to do that, they're going to have to contain Caleb Williams and this Chicago Bears offense that has been picking up the pace a little bit over the last couple of weeks with those offensive coaching changes. Last week against Minnesota, a really tough overtime loss, a blocked field goal early on in that game could have seen Chicago win it late instead of tying it late. The Bears and Caleb Williams putting up 27 points last week, a good performance. But in my opinion, the main reason for that good performance was the fact that they were playing the Vikings. I think they match up well against the Vikings because the Vikings are a team that really like to blitz over 30% of the time, actually. And when you blitz Caleb Williams, you allow him to go back to his college days, make a guy miss, roll out of the pocket, have less men down the field, protecting the secondary, guarding the wide receivers, and it allows Keenan Allen, Romeo Dunze to get open, Cole Kmet over the middle as well. And he can find those types of throws. His best throws, actually, in my opinion, last week were him rolling out. And as he's going out at the sideline, just chucking it 30, 40 yards down the field, right in the breadbasket or along the sideline, allowing his wide receivers to go make a play. And they did. When Minnesota only rushed 4, you saw Caleb kind of go towards some coverage sacks. He stays in the pocket. He has the time. He's looking downfield, but there are men double covered, triple covered. He's trying to force the ball, gets the ball tipped a couple of times. Could have been some interceptions in that game. If he keeps doing that, they will turn into interceptions. And so that is kind of why their drives usually stalled, in my opinion, last week. Yes, they did put up 27 points, which was fantastic. But they also gave up 30 points. And a reason why they gave up 30 points was because of the run defense. We saw Minnesota with a hobbled Aaron Jones able to run the football pretty effectively against this Bears defense. And they now take on Detroit in a dome with one of the best offensive lines in all of football. Jahmyr Gibbs, his speed, David Montgomery always finds the end zone, it seems like, for the Lions. And you add in Jameson Williams after his suspension. He has been fantastic. A couple 60-plus yard touchdowns, screen passes, end arounds. It's going to be a nightmare to try and defend. I think the Lions run the football well, and contain Caleb Williams. Give me Detroit to get the win at home. Next, we take on the Giants will take on the Cowboys in Jerry World. And this is that vaunted midday slate, 3:25 kickoff Central Time, which puts the sun straight down the barrel at Jerry World. So we're going to see those CeeDee Lamb clips over and over and over again today because the sun will inevitably be an issue today. But the Giants are hoping that Drew Lock, who will start today after Tommy DeVito got hurt last week in a thumping against Tampa Bay, will be out. Drew Lock arguably should have started against Tampa Bay, and he couldn't have done much worse. The Giants' offensive line and offense were not able to run the football and or stop that vaunted Todd Bowles blitz packages. They were able to get home, get to Tommy, and put the Giants' offense behind the chains, force them to throw the football, and they didn't do it with much success. Obviously, that defense with Vita Vea in the middle is going to be hard to run against. They will not have that problem today, as the Cowboys defense over the last 3 games have allowed 157 yards per game, including a good amount of rushing yards allowed against the Washington Commanders team that saw Brian Robinson in and out of the lineup all game with injury. He hurt his ankle. He was still able to get some good yardage when he was in there, in the passing game and in the running game. And overall, the Dallas Cowboys did get the win in that game, but they didn't have a good performance. It was 3-3 at halftime, a missed field goal in the beginning of the game, and then a field goal right at the end of half gave Dallas the 3 points. They ended with 34 points, but two of those touchdowns, one a great punt return by Turpin, a spin move that we will all remember. It reminded me a lot of the Braxton Miller spin move against Virginia Tech a couple years ago. If you haven't seen it, please go do so. A great house call for him on that play. And then the onside kick at the end of the game, which they shouldn't have even scored that touchdown because it gave Washington a chance at a Hail Mary to tie the game as the Cowboys went up 8 with that touchdown. A poor coaching decision there, or poor play. I don't know if he was told not to do that, but a poor play by the Cowboys special teams on that one. And their run defense is terrible. Tracy, I think, will be the big story of this game. Can he get going on the outside for the Giants to gash that Cowboys defense? I think he can. Give me the Giants to win in Jerry World with the sun shining through the windows and the Giants getting the win to improve to 3-9 on the season behind Tracy running. Another game that we'll see a lot of run offense will be Miami taking on Green Bay in Lambeau. The projected forecast, 28 degrees for that one. So the whole storyline of Ken Tua and this Miami Dolphins, one, perform on the road, but two, perform in cold weather. We saw their inability to do so in the playoffs last year against the Kansas City Chiefs. That game was negative 17 degrees, though. They did have success against the Buffalo Bills in early November in a tough loss there against Buffalo and Josh Allen. And a big reason was because they did establish the run game in that one. Devon Achane over 100 yards rushing in that game. Tua had one of his best games as a result. 25 of 28 passing, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Way above his passer rating, completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio for his home and away splits. Usually in his away games, he ticks down in completion percentage, ticks up in interceptions. In that game against Buffalo, he did not. In that win against the Rams, he did not. So those are his only 2 away games so far, but this is going to be the first one that's going to be in a very cold environment. And that, with the snow that might accumulate this morning on Thanksgiving Day, will basically force you into running the football and force the defense to know that you're running the football. And one team that loves to run the football is the Green Bay Packers. 3 touchdowns for Josh Jacobs last week against San Francisco and over 100 yards. Miami defense is good against the run, but I don't think it'll be enough to stop Green Bay at Lambeau, who wants to keep pace with the Detroit Lions atop that division. And only 2 games back, they feel like they got a chance, but they are running out of games. They're going to need this win, especially after hearing that the Detroit Lions win earlier today, and they will against the Chicago Bears. But there you have it. There are all 3 of our picks from us at Twin Football. Thanks for joining. Happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy the football.